Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 22nd, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day to ya. Hopefully, you humped and didn't get humped. Unless that's what you're into, then by all means, have at it. As for me, I'd say the motion was forward, but we had to work for it. I had to put my back into it, that's for sure. It was a day. Let's see. We can start from the top. I got up. Overall, I was feeling pretty good. Slept all right. But as I was getting started, getting myself together, collecting myself, I just really wasn't feeling well. I feel like I was having a bit of a pain day. I could kind of tell that that's what we were looking at, which I think mentally threw me off because that was, kind of the backbeat of my day yesterday. And I was like, okay, so that kind of then means like this medicine regimen isn't working for me. Everything was kind of coming to a head today a bit, in my head. So I was just a bit upset. I was in my bag a bit, but I knew I had to get through it. I needed to see through this day. So I got myself together and I got to work. Now, work was pretty even keeled up until around maybe halfway through my day. There was like enough work for me, I was, moving pretty well. I thought I was going to be at the crusher the whole day. But then I didn't even hear it. I must have just been like trying to repress it, just not even paying attention to my own walkie. But my coworker goes, "Hey, they're calling for you on your walkie." And I go, "Oh." And I go, "Hey, what's up? What do you need?" And they're like, "Hey, come upstairs. We need you to work putbacks on the third floor." I guess they were busy and someone had called off. So I was like, "Okay." So I looked at all the work that I wasn't going to be doing and I said, "All right, bye." And proceeded to go up and do putbacks. I did that for maybe about, I don't know, 40 minutes or an hour. Took my last break and then I just said, fuck that. And I went back to the crusher. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my dear listeners. I feel like a Charizard, and I feel like my management team does not have the badges. Okay, they cannot truly control me. They need to actually level up. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to do anymore, and I knew I didn't have to because they weren't gonna come find me, and I just went back to my default job. And then when I got there, the person who works, the second shift was like, "Hey, since you're back, I'm just gonna go upstairs and leave you to it." And I was like, "Okay." So it all worked out in the end. I was happy about that. Um, and then I just wrote out the rest of my shift there. We did have free popcorn, so I got to mix the popcorn that I bring, the Smart Pop, with the popcorn at work. Double popcorn. We love to see it. So that was yummy. That was good. Post work, I went to the gym. Really did not do anything crazy. I would definitely say that in some ways you could say this was an L workout just because I feel like I didn't push myself in the weight training. But I just told myself today, I'm like, I just want to hit shoulders. I just want to hit back. I want to hit a little bit of legs. That's it. And that's what I did. So I felt good with that. Checked the boxes there, did some cardio, and we called it a day pretty much. I will say I have this thing when I go upstairs to do my crunches and the two machines are taken that I have to like do essentially ab crunches with a dumbbell. And I don't know why. It feels like a Hollywood humiliation ritual the way I do it. Because when I go, I'm on the bench with, usually like a 45-pound weight or something like that. And, I lay back and I come up and I lay back and I come up. And I wish it was that seamless, but there's almost always a bit of like, little grunt or like I can't keep both legs on the ground. So I just feel like a chud every time. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. I'm never going to have a six pack, but I'm trying to have a nice tight dumpling. Okay. That's what I'm looking for my core. Okay. But yeah, workout was good overall. I'm gonna upgrade this L session to like a mid session. How about that? Post gym, we head home. I skipped the stretching. I just wasn't feeling it, man. Maybe I'll get to it after, but I just wasn't in the mood. Um, I will say, at least as of recording right now, pain feels a little bit better. I've said this before. It's like you kind of just gotta appreciate the normal moments when they come. But also, like I said, I'm in a mental place that's not fun right now because I just want this shit to be over. Like I'm talking to the doctor now. Like we're getting things done. I just want it to be done. That's how I'm feeling. So it sucks that I'm still dealing with medical issues, and it's like you know halfway through the summer. Shit kind of sucks. But anyway, I'm still optimistic. I'm trying to be hopeful and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup. Let's get into some news. We have a smorgasbord of news. I feel like there's been a lot of news this week. It's been flooded, and not I'm not intending a pun here. Uh, mm, Hoo-wee. Ooh. Okie. Motherfucking dokey. Okay. Our first story is coming from The Independent. 5 dead in NYC as officials still can't find source of deadly Legionnaires outbreak. A 5th person has died in New York City's Legionnaire's disease outbreak, health officials said Tuesday, as investigators continue searching for the source of an infection that has sickened at least 72 people over the past month. The city's health department has found Legionella bacteria in 34 cooling towers across 33 buildings, all of which have been cleaned, but officials still have not identified the source of the outbreak. There is one encouraging sign. No new patients have reported symptoms in the past 10 days, according to the department. 8 people remain hospitalized, while 56 have been discharged after treatment in the outbreak centered on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Legionnaire's disease is a severe form of pneumonia caused by Legionella bacteria, which thrive in warm water and spread through contaminated water droplets from sources such as cooling towers and hot tubs. It does not spread from person to person and is treatable, but kills about 1 in 10 patients, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So yeah, I'd heard about this offhand when I was listening to like TrueAnon the other day, and I was like, damn, okay, we got the poop disease, the exploding diarrhea situation. I know I've said it before. I'm not even gonna fuck with it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The shit that was coming out of Taco Bell and Taylor Farms. And then we had Legionnaire's disease on the backbeat. I know we covered this, I think, in New York last year, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting the year wrong there. But needless to say, relevant news. Hopefully, there's not going to be any more people catching it. Hopefully, they've potentially found and eliminated it by cleaning out all those water towers or whatever. But yeah, definitely unfortunate that people are dying from this. I will say though, something I wanted to touch on. Shout out to the New York City mayor. Shout out to Mayor Mamdani, bro. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw that he had posted, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is, getting a lot of likes, whatever. I wonder what he's up to now, what he's up to today. Essentially, it was just him laying out, saying like, Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. And as much as I would love to arrest him, I would love for us, like as a state, to be able to be the ones to do that. We can't. That is a federal issue. We've looked into it. We've done as much as we can, but this is something that, the federal government has to do and actually get involved. But, he stressed and emphasized the point that Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. This is internationally a known and accepted fact, yet he can come to New York, he can come to America and do whatever the fuck he wants. Essentially just calling that shit out. So I love that. I was very happy to see that. That definitely got a fucking retweet out of my ass. So, damn. That was definitely one I was like, I wish that was my mayor, man. I wish that was my guy, bro. But yeah, just happy to see that. You know what I mean? Because it's so rare to see a full-throated, admonishment of that man, of what is going on. And not to say that it's like, okay, you lock up Benjamin Netanyahu and you fix the fucking problem. Obviously not. That's a nation state issue for sure. But calling shit out for what it is, we love to see it. So anyway, balls and strikes. Anyway, let's move on. We're gonna take it to France. Sorry. From NPR. French lawmakers approve a sweeping social media ban for children under 15. France banned children under 15 using social media on Tuesday, becoming the first country in the European Union to pass a blanket ban on the platforms as concerns grow worldwide over the harmful effects of digital content on kids. I kind of feel like this is Macron and the French administration flexing only over the age of 15 and not 16. Australia, when they did it, the UK, when they did it, I think they said 16 and they're like, well, we're doing 15. So we're even more groundbreaking. Like, okay, man. All right. Thumbs up, whatever. But both chambers of parliament voted in favor of the measure, a flagship initiative of French President Emmanuel Macron's second term. Dude, now that I think about it, this might be his crown jewel for like this part of his administration and whatnot, because the first half of this was like him saying, hey, you guys have to work until you're fucking dead. And they're like, French people were in the streets throwing flaming trash cans saying, no, the fuck we won't. And they were tearing it up. They were protesting heavy over that shit. They were fighting the power. But I guess now, he's trying to focus on his, international diplomacy, foreign affairs. He's saying that's bad. He's calling that shit out, not doing anything about it, still more or less enabling it, but he's at least saying things. But I guess back at home, he's at least banning social media. He's keeping those kids off of the Snapchat. No more TikToks for your tiny tots. Hey, I guess whatever. Several families in France have sued TikTok over teen suicides they say are linked to harmful content. Children's advocates and parents applauded the vote. This is news. I guess my 2 cents on it. Do I think it's a good thing? I think I'm coming around to it for sure. And I know that it's like I said, why were you anti this ever? It's like, look, I know this is going to sound fucking selfish, but I was like, how is this going to affect me? Because so many times I've seen in government where they go, oh, we're trying to help the kids. We're trying to make sure the kids are safe. And then really what they want to do is just do either some kind of censorship. They want to kind of take some kind of control away from, the people on a platform, people doing a thing, using it. So I had problems with that. I also, thought as a young person, at least, thinking about my time in it, I did use this shit for communication. Now, I also understand and agree that this shit can warp your fucking brain. And it's not good for you when you were a kid. And I also would say I didn't really get on this shit until I was like 18. Like I was an adult. I was a full-fledged adult, I got lucky in that regard. You could say I dodged a bullet, but I've had a cell phone since I was like a kid. So I always felt like, I felt like I'd rather the youth have it than not have it. But given that, kind of mentioning Australia, I think they started this shit in like 2024. UK, I think they did this earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. No one's exploded. Kids are still finding ways to be kids. Hopefully they're going outside. I've even heard some kids say that they like the fact that they don't have to worry about the social media anymore. And I'm sure that the kids who want to do it are still using VPNs or finding workarounds or whatever. Now, I also haven't heard much in terms of any platform, social media app being non-compliant. So I haven't really heard much in terms of the fines or anything like that. So I guess I'm saying all that to say that this seems like it's going pretty well. It seems like it's on the up. So maybe it's good? Question mark. I have less negative things to say and feel about it. And ultimately, I would agree that it's probably better for a kid to not touch the shit. It's a toxic quantity for sure. So, probably better just to touch grass and play with your friends or something. I don't know. And not get on Blue Sky or whatever the hell. Even though I don't know if Blue Sky is actually on the, I'm sure it is, but whatever. Anyway. Taking a quick water break there. We can go ahead and move on. Like I said, I got a lot of shit to cover. I gotta keep it bouncing. Our next story is from Politico. From France to New Jersey. What whiplash. Thousands of non-citizens registered to vote in New Jersey due to software error, governor says. I don't know why I said it that way, but whatever. Anyway, More than 6,000 non citizens were accidentally added to New Jersey's voter rolls due to a software error at the State Motor Vehicles Commission. Governor Mickey Sherrill announced Tuesday, with fewer than 400 of them casting ballots in various elections since 2023. So this is an oopsie. This is an oopsie daisy. This is something that's got, conservatives, they got MAGA Republicans, everybody coming out saying, look, we told you, this is why. This is why we have to fix this shit. Now they're saying a lot. This is why we got it. This is why we need Donald Trump Save America Act. This is why it needs to pass. Oh my gosh. It's not China taking all our voter information and all our data. It's actually this now, which I did not cover. It wasn't like a State of the Union thing, but he came out and yapped, I think Friday, about a bunch of bullshit. Donald Trump, he was like, hey, so back in the last election or whatever, I think, uh, China was able to like hack and get a bunch of our information. And they definitely used that to fix the elections. And it's like, brother, where's the evidence of all this shit? And he's just like, anyway, yap, 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 yap. And like, what is the point of this? And they even asked him after, it's like, are you going to try to go after China or do anything about it? And he's like, oh, I don't know. That was back then. I think they've changed. And he also added too, this is like a based Trump moment. He's like, they do stuff to us, we do stuff to them. That's just what it is. And it's like, brother, it's so weird how he can just kind of cut through the bullshit with just saying some stuff like that, but then go right back to just spewing the bullshit lines, man. He really is a monster. Anyway, the stunning announcement comes amid a push by Republican President Donald Trump's administration to crack down on non-citizen voting, which the president claims frequently, without factual bias, aids Democrats in elections. Earlier this month, the Department of Homeland Security alleged that New Jersey had more than 35,000 non-citizens on its voting rolls. Let's see. Sherrill, a Democrat, said on Tuesday that the MVC error, which lasted from June of 2023 to June of 2024, predating her own tenure as governor by several years, arose during the application process for driver's licenses and ID cards. Around 6,600 individuals marked themselves as non-citizens when they applied, but they were added to voter rolls anyway. The accidental voters were scattered across the state and registered under a variety of party labels, according to Sherrill, with the majority being unaffiliated voters. Speaking with reporters at a hastily scheduled press conference, Sherrill said there is no immediate proof that any of the roughly 400 non-citizens who cast ballots impacted the outcome of any individual election. Now, she adds that we have no evidence at this time that any elections were swayed, which I would agree with. I don't think that number is big enough. I think also coming out and saying, hey, this is what happened, we are being as transparent as we can, is the best way to combat any kind of voter fraud or any kind of error, in the electronics or what have you. But that being said, that's not how, Republicans are going to take it. That's not how it's going to be talked about by that side. They are essentially saying, this is all the proof that you need. We've been telling you this shit. It's all fixed. It's all rigged. You have to trust whatever Donald Trump is selling to you, which is essentially adding more layers to make it harder for you to vote, like adding more shit. So essentially trying to take out mail-in voting, trying to make it so it's like, hey, not only are you going to bring your ID, you got to bring like 2 or 3 other forms of identification. Like essentially trying to belabor the point to you just like, God, do we even want to go out and do it today or not? You know what I mean? Like it is a frustrating thing that he is trying to implement, saying that he's saving democracy, when really he doesn't want you to even go out and vote anyway. So, this doesn't really change my opinion on the matter. In fact, I was like, okay, cool. It is good to see that these things are, I guess, fallible in that sense. Obviously, it's not a perfect fucking system. Nothing is. But like, hey, there is a system in place to show, hey, when we fuck up, this is how we fix it. This is how we go about it, and we call it out, and we do better. So yeah, I felt like it was definitely a worthwhile story to cover. I'm curious to see, especially as we move into the midterms, like, is there going to be any motion off this? I doubt it, but you never know. All right, let's move on. We got to talk fucking Epstein, dude. I didn't expect to, talk about Epstein this week. It's getting kind of cold on that ledger in a way, but, yeah, we have another unaliving haven't talked about one of those in a while, and I don't know why I'm censoring myself this way, but actually I do know why I'm censoring myself this way. They literally did finally start like clocking some of my shit on TikTok. Like I have to repost an episode or look into that, I think, but whatever. You can find me on other social medias, hopefully. Yes. Anyway, from the BBC, modeling scout linked to Epstein found dead in Paris. And once again, this is from the BBC. I don't know if I said that. Anyway, a modeling scout linked to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been found dead at his home. Daniel Syed, 69, was discovered on Monday in Colombes, a northwest suburb of Paris, the Nanterre prosecutor's office confirmed. An investigation to determine the cause of death was opened on Monday evening, the office said, adding that a post-mortem examination would be carried out. Syed's name appeared thousands of times in the Epstein files released by the U.S. government. He denied knowing of the threat Epstein had posed. The Paris prosecutor's office had defended an investigation it launched in February, saying there had been insufficient evidence to justify arresting Syed. The investigation opened on February 18, 2026, covering charges of organized human trafficking and conspiracy to commit a crime, is continuing in order to identify all individuals potentially involved, despite the termination of criminal proceedings against Daniel Syed, the office said. Which, you hear that, right? All this file shit, all the emails, all this bullshit has come out. You see the connections. But then you also see the government come out in the French sense saying, hey, we're going to do the best we can to get other people maybe, but we don't have enough to actually get this guy. And if you're a victim of this shit, if you've been following this shit, you go, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, what do you mean you don't have enough? Like, there are connections here. Like, you can lead the road and all the breadcrumbs lead to these people and you're not going to do anything? And essentially, like, you're not going to do anything. And that's got to be, the most tragic, upsetting thing. If you are a person who've had to endure this, man, you've been a part of this whole process, and you have motherfuckers saying, "Hey, we're gonna come out and we're gonna fight for you. We're gonna get justice for you." And like, if Jeffrey Epstein's gone, we're gonna get Ghislaine Maxwell. We're gonna get whoever is connected to this shit, and we're gonna get him. And this guy was gonna walk. That is crushing. Daniel Syed was subject to special investigative techniques, notably telephone surveillance, but they did not provide enough evidence justifying his immediate arrest. Syed had been the subject of several complaints in France, including allegations of rape. The dead man's lawyer stressed that Syed had never been prosecuted. He is dead and he was innocent. Minya Arab Tigrin said in a statement. Epstein victim Anya, not her real name, previously told the BBC that Syed had introduced her to Epstein. It was a complete setup, she said, describing Syed as essentially a professional trafficker. During one email to Epstein released in the file, Syed wrote in badly spelled English, in this business, and he's saying busyness, I feel like a fisherman. Sometime I catch quick, sometime no fish. And it's like, you know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, this evil piece of shit is talking about this shit like it's a commodity. And we're talking about human fucking beings. Ahead of the BBC investigation on the subject published on Saturday, Arab Tribune, or I'm sure I'm fucking that up, had said her client was not available for comment. I don't really want to linger too much on this, but I do want to note, since we are in Paris, this isn't the first time a guy has taken their own life related to Epstein. Another associate of Epstein, French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, was found hanged in Paris in his Paris prison cell in 2022. So I think people are gonna really conspiratorize, make a conspiracy out of this? Probably not. I don't think that this Daniel Syed guy is as known. I mean, shit, even with the Jean-Luc Brunel, I didn't hear many people talking about this shit on the internet. I think in a lot of ways, people go to the big names and they want to see things happen there. And then the midway guys or the random people here, there, they kind of get lost in the shuffle. I completely get that. I understand it. But I think it also does lend to the thing that I kind of keep saying, which is there is a pattern in the sense of these rich, evil fuckers, when they are actually faced with the reality of the shit that they are doing, with the true evil of it, and people are going to now know they are going to have to be held accountable in some way, shape, or form. If not in prison and going to jail or whatever, but in the court of public fucking opinion. And they know they can't escape that shit. And they are too, I want to say, weak. I want to say pathetic to actually accept the reality of it, and they look for an escape. Okay? And they opt out. Because at the end of the day, these are people who have always had the money, the power, the control, like everything. They have done the things that they do to do the shit. And so when you're trying to take that away from them, I do think they are capable of anything, including the thing that I would never expect Jeffrey Epstein to do that. He had so much that he would never. He loved life too much. Never say that. You can actually be that desolate, believe it or not, especially when you're evil people and depraved people like this. So, I just wouldn't put it past them. So, yeah, I don't think that there's going to be much conspiracy, much hate to be made in that way with the Syed situation, but we'll see, you can surprise me there. But anyway, this is definitely relevant, throw it on, in terms of the Epstein news. The eternal Epstein summer sadly continues. But yeah, let's move on. Speaking, I guess, of eternal things, because I don't think AI is going any fucking where. From Reuters, OpenAI. I hate how this is kind of redundant, right? OpenAI AI models went rogue during test, triggering unprecedented breach at startup. Oh man, another AI snafu. Could you believe it? Excuse me. Unlike a robot, I do need. Actually, no, robots need water. They overheat. So, I guess we're one and the same. Anyway, OpenAI said on Tuesday that an autonomous agent powered by. I hate they call it a fucking agent. This is computer software. Powered by its advanced artificial intelligence models went rogue during a security test and triggered a hack that compromised the infrastructure of AI startup Hugging Face, dumbass name, last week. The ChatGPT creator was testing capabilities of some of its most advanced models in a controlled environment, but the agent escaped containment. Oh, it went rogue. It went crazy. It went full Keith Sutherland. Oh my god. .com. Reached the internet and broke into Hugging Face to satisfy its testing goal. Which it's weird. It's like essentially you're saying, hey, I want you to do this thing. You have every kind of da da da. They give it parameters and they say, okay, go. And it didn't have access to the internet. And it said, well, I know that if I get to this part of the internet, I can get what I need to complete my task to pass this test. So I'll just do that. I'll just do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to boop, 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 and get there. The incident signals that AI's expanding capabilities are already fueling the security threat experts long feared, and even top developers can be caught off guard by their models, by flaws their models can exploit. Shit, I wish I could remember this because it's coming off top of the dome and it's old news. But Claude had come out with some kind of AI thing that they were trying to say is like, this is like pretty serious technology here. We kind of had to gatekeep it and only give it to like a few clients and tell them to be really careful because like this can like hack anything. It can like do. They were touting it as like it was like some kind of like god like AI, but it's like it's not. Like okay, I guess. And then the Trump administration said actually we need you to pull that shit back because people are going to be able to jailbreak this potentially, and then that's going to be potentially bad. And they're like, well, even if you jailbreak it, it's not going to be that serious. Like, I thought you guys had said it was that serious. So that was weird. This feels very akin to that, where they're like, oh my God, the AI did a breakout. We had to stop it. But I will say there's a thing that is played down, at least from the news that I listened to today, as opposed to what I'm reading here. Let's see here. It also drew attention as New York-based Hugging Face said it had used an open-source Chinese model to contain the attack because leading U.S. models, unable to tell a defender from an attacker, refused to process the data needed for analysis. The company said in a blog post last week it used Zifu AI's GLM 5.2 for the analysis, which also allowed it to keep attacker data and any credentials within its systems. GLM-52 and Beijing-based Moonshots Kimi K3. I don't know what any of that shit means. Has stirred Silicon Valley recently with capabilities nearing those of top U.S. models at lower cost and without the guardrails that block American rivals from use in such tasks in tasks such as cybersecurity. It's like, so you're saying that these Chinese AI models, that more times than not, when I hear economists talk about them, when I hear these developers, creatives talk about them, they talk about them as if it's like secondhand tech, as if it's like not nearly as good. It's light years behind. It's more for simpler stuff. Blah 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 blah. It's not cutting edge, but it's like it's cutting edge enough, right? Like it stopped this fucking rogue ass fucking AI agent, put that in quotations, from, doing what it was trying to do. So I don't know. This felt like an AI equivalent of a Top Gun scene, but way less cool. They didn't even get in the fucking hoochie daddies and play a sport. So what's the fucking point? But whatever. It is interesting. I'm sure we will see more of this in the future. AI just kind of goes and just either has an hallucination or says, hey, I'm going to make a decision and, you didn't exactly prompt me to not make this decision, so I found an in run to make it happen. Oopsie. Hopefully I don't turn off a power plant or something. I don't know. I find myself not too scared about that, and maybe I should be more afraid. But I do feel, to kind of bring it back to the point I made earlier, these stories come out and like OpenAI and Claude and all these motherfuckers will talk about it, and like they are keeping the boogeyman at bay for us. And like they're doing some kind of noble altruistic thing by like sucking up more money and resources for this fucking dumbass AI that's not doing shit for us. I mean, they keep telling us it's gonna streamline this, it's gonna reinforce that, it's gonna make our lives so much better and so much easier. But all I'm seeing are more layoffs. You know, all I'm seeing is potentially bad hedge fund bets on fucking bubbles that are probably gonna pop, and someone's retirement's gonna go down the fucking tube. So I'm more concerned about that than like an AI hacker bot, at least for now. Time will tell. Maybe they'll impress me. Maybe Skynet's just around the motherfucking corner. I'd be so lucky. Anyway, I could use a John Connor arc. What can I say? Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. This is like the last, maybe the last story. We'll see. Let's see. BBC News. Let's have some dessert. Before we dig in, let's take our last break. I know I've been doing a lot of heavy news, a lot of death, a lot of explosions. I don't know, but I felt like this story that we're about to get into a bit more delicate of a dish. So, all right, from BBC News. Michelin-starred restaurateur faces jail for using ants as dessert garnish. Yummy. Fuck. South Korean prosecutors sought a 1-year jail term for the owner of a Michelin star restaurant, accused of using ants as a dessert garnish. Local media reported. Ants are not among the 10 insect species approved for human consumption under the country's laws. The approved list includes grasshoppers, locusts, and 2 spotted crickets, among others. Now, you had 10 bugs that you could have chose from, right? Chosen from, whatever. And excuse me if I'm saying bugs and that's somehow ignorant and you have to call them insects or whatever. I don't know. You had to use the ants? You fucking had to? That's okay, I guess, man. You just really had a certain kind of flavor. Prosecutors on Monday also asked that the restaurant, which holds 2 Michelin stars, be fined 2 million Korean won, or $13,510. The owner admitted to serving ants, but argued that they were used in a small part of the restaurant's 15-course menu as a topping for sorbet, and that diners were told they could opt out for non-ant toppings. It's like, I feel like this is a very like kid-esque, child-esque ass argument to try to make. It's like, well, we didn't use that many, and like they have an argument that they use later. I'll get to. The case came to light after officials from the Food Ministry of Food and Drug Safety found reviews that diners had posted online with photographs of dishes sprinkled with ants. It's like, yeah, dog, you were bound to tell on yourself eventually. There's no reason you're doing these fucking cutting edge Michelin star ass dishes. And I'm sorry if I sound like I have a bit of contempt, but the last time we covered one of these chefs doing something, getting it caught in the kerfuffle, I look at the dish and it's a bunch of fucking dirt. You're making people eat dirt. Like, that's some kind of magic. That's some kind of flex. Tell me all the dishes you cook to get to the point where you can start feeding people fucking dirt and ants. Like, what? And making money. Making money. Because my chicken and rice can't be that bad. I can learn. I'll flick the wrist. What the fuck? Health authorities also found that the restaurant used ants that contained up to 55 times more heavy metals than typical edible insects, according to a report on the Chosen Daily. And shit, motherfuckers worry about protein powder. South Korean authorities consider several criteria in deciding whether insects can be approved as food. These include food safety risks, toxicity, nutritional value, and whether they can be bred and processed hygienically. In its defense, the restaurant owner argued that just 60% of diners had opted to try the ants, while the rest were served alternatives like fermented vinegar and edible flowers. Like, once again, more fucking dirt. He added, this is the point, this is the last kind of argument I wanted to hear out and talk about. He added that restaurants in other countries, such as Australia, Denmark, and the UK, also use ants as ingredients. Motherfucker, you're not there. You're not there. You should maybe go to one of those countries if you want to do those dishes. You could have made a grasshopper sorbet. I just, it's just annoying to me that you're like trying to defend this. Just take the L and pay the money on this, man. You're not going to jail. It's silly. It's fucking silly, mate. I don't know why I put on the UK accent. I was feeling it. It's the spirit of the international news that came into me. Let's see. They talk about the Michelin stars. They don't name the restaurant, by the way, which is kind of, I would like to know what is this fucking. I'm sure you could figure it out. I mean, they were posting the dish. I'm sure I could just do some investigative journalism, but I'm tired. And like I said, we have a little bit of I want to say bonus. I say bonus and like it almost makes it sound like a good thing. This isn't a good thing in my opinion. So we're closing off with, I guess, a potential bang or a deal to potentially make a big bang. Haha. From The Guardian, U.S. announces nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia that could enable kingdom to enrich uranium. All right. Just reading a little bit from this ticker real quick, and we'll call it a news day. U.S. announces nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia that could enable kingdom to enrich uranium. The Trump administration signed a nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia on Wednesday that could enable the kingdom to enrich its own uranium for nuclear reactors. U.S. Secretary Chris Wright said in a press release. According to a statement from the Department of Energy, Wright and his Saudi counterpart, Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, I'm not used to saying his whole last fucking name, MBS. Or is it MBS? I don't know. Whatever. Let me not overspeaking something like a dumbass. So Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, a peaceful nuclear arrangement or cooperation agreement and a accompanying bilateral safeguards agreement. The question of what those safeguards look like, given the potential for enriched uranium to be used to make nuclear weapons, the same fucking thing that we are trying to come down on fucking Iran for. Like, oh no, well, you're our ally. We got so many deals in the mix. Let's make this happen for you. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. It is one of those things where what is the most surprising thing to me, the fact that, the UAE and the Saudi Arabia, with all the money that they have, and from what I've been told and what I've looked into, I don't know too much on the historical timeline of the big triumphs of either army or military force. I feel like you have a mid military force. You're not doing too much. You're not winning a lot there, but you have one. You would think then it's like, well, then you should maybe have a nuke by now. But then I think, well, we all know how things in the West happen and how that's going to affect the Middle East. So if you have a big brother like, the US saying like, no, 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 don't worry about that. Don't worry about enriching your uranium. We got you. We're going to protect you. You're fine. Just make a good couple deals with us. Let's buy some oil. Let's do some good business. You're going to be protected. You're going to be fine. No one's going to hurt you. But then, obviously, fast forward to now, you have Iran popping shots, doing whatever they fucking want to say, hey, this is our tit for tat. We're going to start shooting whoever in the Gulf. I think that changes the conversation a bit. So maybe that's where Saudi Arabia is at. They're saying, hey, let's like put the normalization with Israel shit aside. Let's just work out some more deals so that we can start enriching our shit. So that maybe we have a nuke and maybe we can worry a little less. Because as much as I used to think that I was a peaceful guy, right? I really was, and I still don't like war or whatever the fuck, all that. Kumbaya. I get it. I get why you're like, hey, if we have a nuke, the likelihood of motherfuckers actually coming on our shores, coming to our fucking nation and fucking with us goes down. It's just a fact. You can look at North Korea and you can see it. You know what I mean? You can look what happened to Ukraine when they gave their shit up. You can see it now. They're having to fucking throw drones and shit to keep in the fucking fight. So yeah, I get the desire to have a nuke, but once again, it is crazy to be like, hey, we can't let Iran have a whisper, have an essence, have a fart of that shit, that uranium shit. We got to make sure that shit is dead and buried somewhere, because otherwise they're gonna make a bomb in weeks, and then it's gonna be Armageddon. But our boys in Saudi Arabia, the Salmans, yeah, let them go nuts. Obviously, it's going to be civilian, of course. All right, that's it. That's all I have. Yeah, I'd say we did pretty good for the amount of news we got to cover. All right, let's go. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. All the stars are appreciated on the Spotify or the Apple Podcast apps. Nice review, Thank you if you've done that. You're a peach. You're a gem. You're a righteous stone. I don't know. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.